But it is a challenge for us, and in fact Manufacturing Skills Australia coverage is quite broad. There are currently 9 Indian sector skills councils where we have corresponding coverage, and it's a task for us to actually engage. But we're working with the NSDC and CII and FICCI to actually address that. But that's part of the deal. I think one of the things, though, that I wanted to talk about was the approach of sector skills councils in general around the globe. Many of my Australian colleagues, and I'm sure some of the others, have had teams of people from all over the globe treading through our offices, asking lots of questions, talking about things, having a look to see how it all works. We ourselves have done it. And we've had a look and seen how other countries are doing things. But the notion of an industry-led system with industry-driven sector skills councils determining the training outcomes that then training providers, in whatever form they are, will deliver is the commonality amongst that model. There is an element of government support that goes with it as well, and that's varying amounts of funding, but certainly government recognition, which is an important aspect of it, that recognises the preeminent role of industry anyway in that process. But overall, when we look around the globe, we see different countries, and I'm sure that, again, in India here, you've had the British Council and the English sector skills councils coming through here, and the German model and so on. But those commonalities go right the way through and across the globe. To try and address some of the common problems that we have, even though we adopt different models based on those basic principles, at one stage there was an organisation set up to try and bring that together. That proved not to be all that fruitful, and its focus changed to a more commercial one. But in the absence of that, which grew out of a meeting based on World Skills in 2009, I think it was, where Jeanette Allen and Jeremy Gilling and I think Dillip was involved in that too, Tom Buick from the UK, where they set up this organisation. The remnants anyway of that found that we wanted something where we could interact globally with sector skills councils. And I did speak about this the other day, and I won't do too many ads for it, but it's a network where we hope that we can exchange information, and it's not just manufacturing to manufacturing, it's manufacturing to anybody or anybody to anybody. It's on that basis, because the issues aren't really, sometimes they are around the technical aspect and the industry skills aspect, but a lot of them are about how do you go about doing this? Have you tried doing so and so? We found this new program that's great for LMI compilation and, you know, those sorts of things. So that's that network that I did speak of the other day to a small group, but it's the globalskillsnetwork.net. It has 2 levels of membership for sector skills type councils and also associate membership too. But I'll be pursuing again the NSDC very heavily to make sure that every Indian sector skills council at least is given access to that membership form, and hopefully they'll join. There are no fees. It's a collegiate membership. We intend to have a conference at the next World Skills International competition where we can get together as well.
Thank you, Bob. Global Skills Network. Now we have an Indian CEO of the Telecom Skill Council, Commodore Jana.
Thank you, Bas. Being from the telecom, let me see what good or bad that ICT, information and communication technology, has done to us. So they have shrunk the world to a global village. And the bad thing they have done, that both wife and husband will look at the laptops rather than doing something else. So there is no time for each other, time for laptops only. Okay, having shrunk this world to a global village, the telecom has been totally standard driven. And who have created the technology based on standard, so is the skill which is also based on standard, which can emerge from these sector skill councils. Now, looking at the cost of operation everywhere in the globe, the manufacturing is going to reside at some places, specifically meeting the total global market. If that is the case, and the skill has to flow like water flows and levels it, wherever the skill is available, it will flow to the other part of the world. And India, considering the demography, India has got a surplus manpower workforce, which is perhaps deficient in other places. So this will flow. And this will flow based on the standards. Coming to the telecom specifically, in India, we are trying to make the skill to the global standards. So that the global industry, when it comes to a particular from any other country, or these operators, or our industry go to another country, they find the manpower the same. Because this is the biggest challenge when an industry goes from one country to the other country faces, that is the skill. So this becomes a barrier. So we are trying to break that barrier by creating standards that is global in nature. And to working with our sector skill councils from Australia, 2 of them who are sitting next to me, IBSA and Energy Skills. So we have created certain standards which are now available to be adopted in both the countries. Of course, we have to draw the bridge courses, which is akin to its country, specific to its country, so that will be done. Now, what India operators now have gone to already 20 countries. And the partnership with India and Australia in the skill domain, it can be a gateway for 20 countries for the skilled manpower. So, I mean, it is a gateway available for the Australian industry, available for the Australian providers, training providers. So your reach can be through India to 20 other countries, and this has been ascertained by our chairman when Mr. Bullock met him on 2 days back. So he said, I can give access to all these 20 countries here. So, but how to do business? When the cost of operation there in Australia, cost of operation there in India will be different, the price point at which the training can be provided are different. So you can do this strategically, you can drive it from small to big, but maintaining the quality. And now in this particular case, perhaps we can start from the training the trainer, training the assessors, where the quality can be driven, and also at the same time you can make the foothold. Okay, 1 minute, that's good enough. Okay. So let the start point be with the trainers and the assessors. Then we'll get into the trainees once you know the business each other. So that's, I think, will be my way of telling to the Australian training providers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commodore Jana. I'll be asking you a question during the open session as to how's the industry behind you, but not right now. And now it's time for Patricia. Patricia is the CEO of the Innovation and Business Skills Australia. So they work with our Media Skill Council as well as the Telecom Skill Council. Over to you, Patricia.
As Basab said, I'm from Innovation and Business Skills Australia. We have very wide coverage. We cover business, finance, ICT, telecom, teacher training and printing and the cultural industries. So when we talk about industry engagement, it's really quite tricky and quite complex for us. We tend to have broad level and high level industry engagement on both our board and our standing committees. And then when we have particular projects, we get down to the practitioners and work with them so that we actually focus in on the people who really know what's going on the ground. I've been asked to provide a few examples of how we work with industry and what the benefits for industry are, because I think we've focused very much on the last 2 days on the benefits to skills development from working with industry, but I think it's a two-way street. Let me give you an example of the way we operate in the ICT sector. There, some of the major suppliers of equipment and software work with us to ensure that our training package has the skills that they require, as well as the skills that are required in the Australian sector. So here I'm talking not only about working with Australian industry, but working globally And by that I mean referring to companies such as Cisco, VMware, Microsoft. And when we develop qualifications in that ICT area, people not only finish up with an Australian qualification, but they also finish up with the units and competencies required by those companies. So by working with Cisco, VMware Academy, Microsoft, we have people who are globally ready to work anywhere that they like. The advantage for industry is that they know the skills, they've developed them, and they know what the employee brings. A more local area of working with industry that again points out the advantage to industry is one, say, where we're developing resources in the human resources area. Human resource management, a key role in industry today. There's an institute in Australia called the Australian Human Resources Institute, and we work very closely with that institute. It develops standards to ensure that people who want membership of that institute have reached a certain level and a certain credibility within that industry. When we're developing human resources courses, we make sure that our units of competency cover those standards, so that when students finish our courses, they have immediate access as members of the Australian Human Resources Institute, and they can put those post-nominals after their name immediately. The advantage for industry is that it knows what it's getting. It knows that we have worked very closely with accepted industry standards. The institute itself has immediate access to members and carries on their training with professional development activities as those people progress through their careers. A second, more global example of where we work in this way with industry is when we develop qualifications in the project management area. In that area, there are international standards, and what we do is benchmark against those standards, ensuring that our qualifications cover them quite completely. We ensure that those standards also align to national frameworks such as SOFIA relating to Prince 2, for example. So what you have then again is mobility for students and global recognition when they move, with people recognising that they have those particular standards. So I hope today I've been able to convey that it's not a one-way street, but rather it is a two-way street, and there are advantages to industry in having highly qualified, skilled people with precisely the competencies that industry wants. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. I hope you got a flavour of how the industry is tightly stitched to the Sector Skill Council. And now we have Melinda, who's from Energy Australia. And over to you, Melinda.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melinda Hill. I am the International Program Manager at Energy Skills Australia. We're the Australian Government declared ISC for the electrocoms and energy utilities industries. We're quite a boutique industry skills council. As Patricia just mentioned, they have quite a broad coverage, a wide-ranging coverage of industries that they cover. We have quite a specific area. It's mainly only the energy industries. So those particular industries are the electrotechnology, electricity supply industry, transmission, distribution and rail, electricity supply industry generation, and the gas. I'm going to take this opportunity now to talk to you and share our insights on how Energy Skills Australia engages with industry, and particularly around industries which are very heavily regulated, very high risk, and also are highly technical. I might just also add that it obviously isn't one size fits all for all ISCs. Everyone has to customise their consultation processes to meet their particular needs and requirements of industry, but this is how we go about ours. We have a strong and well-established training culture. This is largely because we are traditional in our areas. We're a traditional trade area, and we have a strong apprenticeship focus. We have comprehensive industry engagement in our training package development, and our training packages are actually industry-driven, industry-led, nationally recognised, and nationally consistent. EOS is merely the custodian of our training packages, and we support its creation, its continuous improvement and its implementation. In most cases, operatives which work in our industries simply cannot work in the industries unless they hold the relevant qualification or are in training achieving that qualification, and that's usually through an apprenticeship program. So this really means that our industries are involved in the training right from the beginning. We don't usually train and then put them in. They're actually training as they're working on the job through a contract of training with a registered training organisation, the employer and the apprentice. So I'll now just touch on our consultation processes. It's quite extensive and comprehensive in our sectors, and we involve all our key industry stakeholders. We have a strong employee and employer associations in Australia, and in our industries in particular, they have to be consulted. Enterprises and companies, small, medium and large, industry associations, the government, Commonwealth and also state and territory, the registered training organisations, state and territory industry training advisory boards and state training authorities, and also the industry regulators. Our training package consultation process is broken up into a few different levels. For each industry, we have sector-specific industry technical advisory committees, which then really pull apart the training packages and put what the technical components need to be and or amend them or add new things as technology changes. Then we have training advisory groups. These are to make sure that what industry is saying that they need can actually be delivered through the registered training organisations. And then we have sector skills councils, and these comprise 2 of our board members. So all of our development process goes through this process and is eventually signed off by our board. And then it obviously has to go through the normal endorsement processes which are put in place. With the regulators, I'd just like to focus on that just for 1 second. We consult with our industry regulators, and we hold them in high regard, and we know that they're very important for our industries and any industries with regulatory frameworks. And we make sure that any regulatory implications or registrations or licensing is actually included and embedded in our qualifications. This ensures that the qualification meets the industry regulation requirements and also triggers the issuance of the licence upon issuance of the qualification. So, just to conclude, that as I mentioned earlier, it obviously isn't a one-size-fits-all. It is about customising your consultation processes to suit your industry needs, and this is just how EOS has approached it, and we found it quite successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. I think that's the largest amount of knowledge that you could get in about 6 minutes' time. Thanks a lot. Now, of course, over to Jeanette, and she's had the longest experience of working with a sector body in India. Over to Jeanette, who is the CEO of Service Skills Australia.